What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and for those of you guys who have been following this channel for a little while, that we usually stick to an upload schedule where we upload on Mondays and Thursdays. On Mondays, we cover pop culture icons, so like people, events, different things like that. And then on Thursdays or Fridays, we cover WandaVision or some other kind of pop culture TV show that's popular after WandaVision's over. But I want to make an exception. Today, I want to talk about why the Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, is not only more powerful than Doctor Strange, she's actually more powerful than the Infinity Gauntlet, if not as powerful as the Infinity Gauntlet. And here's the reason why. This is a really good case to be made here, just based on the things that we've seen in WandaVision. So the idea is that in Marvel Comics, you've got differing people with differing levels of power. Not everybody has the same level of power, even when we start looking at people who can alter reality at different scales. So say, for example, we took the son of Reed Richards, a kid by the name of Franklin Richards. His power is insane, right? He can alter reality, he can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But Franklin Richards is not as powerful as somebody like the Molecule Man Owen Reese when he was at his absolute prime. And the reason why is because Franklin Richards is called a universal shaper. He's able to manipulate reality on a universal level. The Molecule Man Owen Reese was a multiversal character. He could alter reality on the multiversal level. You look at somebody like Protege, he was the exact same way that Molecule Man Owen Reese was. The difference was that Protege could copy the powers of other people, and there was no upper limit to the powers he could copy, right? So it was kind of nuts how powerful he got as time went on. Now, if you guys don't know who Franklin Richards or the Molecule Man or Protege are, it's not a great big huge deal. Down in the description, you'll find a link to videos that I've made over on the Comics Explained channel that emphasizes super powerful characters and what makes them so powerful. But the nature of somebody like Doctor Strange is that he basically borrows powers. And you guys have probably figured that out by watching the Doctor Strange film, that Stephen Strange has no abilities unto himself. It's not as though when he was training with the Ancient One that he had these powers inside of his mind that were unlocked. Instead, the way this works is you have all kinds of magical beings that exist out there, and they basically lend their power to Stephen Strange. So when you guys were watching the events of Infinity War, and you saw that great big huge battle with like Doctor Strange and Iron Man and those guys, when Doctor Strange shot out those red bands, those are called the Crimson Bands of Sidorak. Sidorak is the same guy who gave the Juggernaut his powers in Marvel Comics. A brunt of Doctor Strange's powers, something like 80%, basically comes from a group called the Vashanti. It's actually 3 individuals. And there came a point in Marvel Comics when Doctor Strange was asked to participate in a war that was going on the astral level. And the result was that Stephen Strange turned it down. He basically said no. Following that, the Vashanti took away all the power they gave him, which took away something like 80% of his power. They gave it back eventually, but he only got a fraction of it back, so he was a lot weaker than he had been in years past. But that's how all that works, right? At any point in time, any one of these magical beings can just cut Doctor Strange off to that source of power, and he'll be weaker as a result of it. But regardless of how you slice it, the very core of Stephen Strange's power comes down to something called matter manipulation, meaning that in his current form, Stephen Strange can do all kinds of wonky stuff, but the things he can do is relative to the tangible universe, right? So if we take something like a coffee cup, for example, right? You take a little coffee cup, Stephen Strange can break that coffee cup down on the atomic level, and then he can take atoms from other things. He can take atoms from the air, he can take atoms from the water, he can take atoms from a brick wall. He can merge those with the coffee cup and create a wholly new object that's maybe like a dog or like a human being or any number of things. He can do all kinds of stuff, but he can control matter on the atomic level, and that's where his power stops. With somebody like the Scarlet Witch, she's on a whole different level now. And the reason why is because we've seen her rewind time. We've seen her just make things appear out of thin air. The Scarlet Witch is what you refer to as a reality manipulator, meaning she's not bound by the laws of physics, and she's not bound by the atomic makeup of everything in the universe, that she can basically create something out of nothing. So if she wanted to turn that coffee cup into something else, she doesn't have to pull atoms from other objects and then incorporate those into the coffee cup and then give it a new form. She just snaps her fingers and it becomes something else, right? It's a whole different level of power. It's very similar to what the Infinity Gauntlet does. The Infinity Gauntlet allows a wielder to manipulate the very forces of the universe itself. But the way that things get kind of crazy here, and this is why the Scarlet Witch is so far beyond Doctor Strange at the moment, is because when you take something like the Infinity Gauntlet, you're able to use it only to achieve various ends, but you're still required to use it to pull those things off. So like somebody like Stephen Strange, for example, could manipulate time, but he had to have the time stone to do it. Wanda doesn't need any of those things. Wanda is in and of herself, by virtue of her own power, manipulating time, space, and the universe. She is the single most powerful being in all of existence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. Now, How that'll change as time goes on, we don't fully know. And that's why a lot of people who are talking about Mephisto in WandaVision, that's why it's so intriguing for them, because Mephisto is one of these guys where his power changes based on how long he's away from his home dimension, right? That he's one of the Hell Lords. We've talked about that before, that the realm of hell is kind of divided up among various individuals, and Mephisto is the most powerful inside of his own realm. But if he leaves the realm of hell, the longer he's away, the weaker he becomes. But if he were, for example, to like immediately leave hell and then show right up to Wanda and start talking to her, he'd be insanely powerful. How it is Mephisto would compare to the power that Wanda has, I would say he could probably still be defeated. Wanda's just on that level of power now. It's a little crazy because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is shifting some things up and they're changing things, so we don't really know how the power of the characters in the comics will scale to the movies. But I just want to make a quick video kind of addressing that, right? Because I've seen people asking the question, who's more powerful, the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Wanda or the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Doctor Strange? And right now, it's Wanda. The biggest issue that you have, I think, with her character is that her power is not necessarily regulated or controlled, in the sense that she doesn't know how to utilize it in the most finite ways, the same way that Doctor Strange does. She can do some pretty fine strokes, right? Like creating things out of nothing, moving things with her mind, stuff like that. But as we've seen over the course of WandaVision, if she loses her focus, she loses control over her powers, right? So she's not that well trained in how to use her abilities. It's pretty bare bones, right? It's pretty basic in terms of how she goes. But the raw power, the raw ability to basically manipulate reality, to control the very forces of reality, to make something out of nothing, she is on that level right now. By all standards of measurement, she's what you would define as a god. That's really how you would define her in any way. That's kind of the name that you would give her. So I just wanted to address that real quick. I thought it'd be kind of a cool talking point here. It's one of these things where we don't really know if it'll last that long, but I think that's really where WandaVision becomes so intriguing, because what we know from like the conversation that the Ancient One had with Bruce Banner during the events of Avengers Endgame is that whenever you have a timeline, no matter how small the adjustment that you make to that timeline, you'll create a separate timeline, right? So what you're most likely seeing in, or at least what you probably will see in the Multiverse of Madness, is what happens as a result of all the changes that Wanda's made. That while they are small changes in scale relative to the size of the universe, the result is that they have a cascading effect. So maybe somebody was supposed to be somewhere at a certain point in time, right? Monica Rambeau was supposed to be at a particular location when a certain event was supposed to take place, but because of what Wanda's doing, Monica's there instead. And it has this great big huge cascading effect where a single super important event's supposed to happen and Monica's not there, and then everything pops off, right? Like, what if Tony Stark never took the Infinity Stones away from Thanos? That kind of an effect, right? I'm not really saying that as an example. I'm just saying as a general principle, that's what we're talking about here. The butterfly effect is what people also call it. That's probably what the Multiverse of Madness is going to come out of. The fact that Wanda's made these small changes that basically ripple out into these huge changes and affect the entirety of the multiverse, and things just start going crazy. And who knows what's going to happen after that, right? It's going to be absolutely bonkers. And so circling back around to the main point of the video, I guess the real question to ask here is, with everything going on in WandaVision and everything that we've just talked about, if Stephen Strange shows up and tries to stop Wanda, will there be anything he can do? And my answer would be no. There'd be no way for Stephen Strange to stop Wanda Maximoff, because even if he has all these little nuanced abilities in his possession, in terms of just sheer raw magical power, he just doesn't seem to be on the same level that she is. But it is the MCU, and we have seen how things wax and wane, so in the end, only time will tell. But anyway, guys, if you want to get caught up on the videos that we have with WandaVision, make sure you guys click the videos here at the end screen. Get caught up on all of our theories, all the little Easter eggs, things that we found, applying our comic book knowledge to WandaVision and teaching you things that you probably didn't know. And I will catch you all later. Peace.